this is JC. Welcome to Missed Again, where every missed shot is a lesson. It's not about perfect play, it's about my struggles and honest progress. Today we're going to explore low deflection shafts and whether they're helpful for beginners and advanced beginners. I'll start by discussing and testing three types of shafts. The first is a traditional maple wood shaft made by McDermott. It features a medium tip, but I can't remember the name of the brand that was used. The second is a low deflection carbon fiber shaft made by JFlowers. This is the standard classic model that comes default with all the cues unless you upgrade. The third is the SMO shaft, also by JFlowers, and is currently the lowest deflection cue on the market. Thanks to JFlowers for sending me the SMO as part of the sponsored Ambassadors package. First, I should just briefly explain what a low deflection shaft is. When the cue ball is hit at the center, it travels in a straight line. However, when the cue ball is hit with side spin, deflection, often called squirt, occurs. For example, when right English is applied, the cue ball squirts slightly to the left, and when hit with left English, the cue ball deflects to the right. A low deflection shaft is constructed to reduce this deflection or squirt. There are several design features, but the most important is that a low deflection shaft has its front end mass reduced to make the front lighter. Traditional wood shafts have high deflection, although there are low deflection wood shafts on the market now. Carbon fiber shafts are considered low deflection shafts. For this video, I'll be using 3 butts with each of the shafts. For the maple shaft, I have my old McDermott M Series Montana butt. I really like a natural wood look for a butt. Another butt I'll use is the JFlowers JF20 BTF, and you can see what I mean by liking natural wood butts. Finally, I have another JFlowers butt. This is the JF10 22F, which has a sleek all-black design with inlays. The McDermott Montana will have its original maple shaft. The JF10 22F will have the JFlowers classic carbon fiber shaft, and the JF20 BTF will have the SMO carbon fiber shaft. Before we do a deflection comparison test, let's have a closer look at the shafts first. First, let's have a look at the McDermott shaft. It is made from North American grade AA hard rock maple. This is over 23 years old, which is why there's a bit of bluing of the shaft, but it is still straight. From product descriptions, this is supposed to be a pro taper, which means that the shaft has a constant diameter for the front section of the shaft and then widens towards the joint. However, when I measured it, the diameter is not consistent. It widens very gradually towards the joint, but not as much as a European taper. For both the JFlowers carbon fiber shafts, they're supposed to be a pro taper for 12 to 14 inches of the shaft. This is the classic shaft and it has a Mori medium tip. When I measured it, it started out consistent at 12.4 millimeters for the first 4 inches, then widened out by about 0.2 millimeters for the next 6 inches, and then widened out towards the joint. So while it is supposed to be a pro taper for 12 to 14 inches, this classic shaft is not a true pro taper. For the SMO, it features a Tome Pro medium tip which I specified for the shaft. It is marketed as the lowest deflection shaft currently on the market and is also the most expensive of these 3. It feels the straightest of all the shafts, but honestly, the difference is very slight and almost undiscernible. I definitely cannot tell the difference when playing with the different shafts. The SMO also features a pro taper for the first 12 inches to 14 inches of the shaft. I measured it and can confirm that this indeed is a true pro taper. It starts off at 12.4 millimeters at the front and measures the same for the first 14 inches of the shaft before it widens towards the joint. It is 12.4 millimeters at almost every 1 inch apart. So if you're concerned whether the SMO is a true pro taper, it is. Okay, with that out of the way, let us perform the deflection comparison test. I've set up an orange golf tee on the head spot of the table and have the cue ball set up down table. Deflection occurs immediately upon contact of the cue tip with the cue ball, but at close distances, the effect may not be that apparent. So I'll put a bit of distance between the cue ball and the target golf tee. I'll start off with the McDermott maple shaft and first perform a center ball hit, aiming for the golf tee to ensure that it hits the tee straight on. Next, I'll shoot the cue ball with right spin, but aiming directly at the golf tee. Notice where the cue ball hits the tee. It deflected to the left and hit the tee on the left. Now I'll shoot the cue ball with left spin, and it deflected to the right. Not only that, I pocketed the golf tee, which is something even pro players find hard to do. Now we will do the center hit with the JFlowers classic carbon fiber shaft to ensure my aim is true. As before, I will shoot the cue ball with right spin. Watch the path of the cue ball. It hits the golf tee on the left, but there's much less deflection or squirt. Now I shoot the cue ball with left spin. Once again, while there is squirt, the deflection is less than the maple shaft. Finally, I'll use the SMO shaft. First, I'll do the control shot with the center ball hit to ensure my aim is true. Next, I'll shoot with right side spin while still maintaining direct aim at the golf tee. In this test, the SMO seems to perform as advertised, as there's very little deflection. It virtually hit the tee straight on. Here's the shot with left side spin applied, still aiming directly at the golf tee. Once again, there's really very little deflection. So this simple deflection comparison test has shown that the maple shaft has deflection, and the deflection is noticeable and will affect shooting at longer distances. That means you will need to compensate your aiming for deflection when using the shaft when applying side spin. The JFlowers classic carbon fiber shaft has low deflection, and compensation for aiming may not be needed much unless the shots are very far and pockets are tight. The clear winner, of course, is the JFlowers SMO shaft. There's hardly any deflection, and I don't see the need to compensate when playing with this shaft. Now, what does this mean for the beginner or advanced beginner? Do you need a low deflection shaft? First, let's talk about price. A carbon fiber shaft is usually a lot more expensive than a regular maple shaft. For example, the JFlowers classic carbon fiber shaft is US $199 and the SMO is US $399. The Predator Revo retails at US $499. A higher price is generally directly tied to its low deflection performance. Basically, the more the shaft reduces cue ball squirt, the higher the cost. But here's the thing, as a beginner or even an advanced beginner, you have to ask, will that extra performance actually help me right now? At this stage, players at this level are still working on fundamentals such as aiming true, having a smooth straight stroke, and just being consistent. And honestly, if your aim and stroke aren't reliable yet, then the shaft's low deflection technology doesn't even come into play. You may not even be hitting exactly where you think you're aiming, so whether the shaft reduces deflection or not doesn't really make a difference. So what is more important is to master the basics first. Get your stance solid, get your stroke repeatable, learn to control the cue ball. Once you've built those foundations, then upgrading to a low deflection shaft can start to make a real impact on your game. Now suppose you decide to upgrade. Do you need the most expensive carbon fiber shaft out there? Here's what I found. Standard carbon fiber shafts already reduce deflection significantly compared to maple. Premium models like the SMO or Revo do squeeze out slightly lower deflection, but in real play, that difference is usually pretty small, especially for casual or amateur players. If you're playing casually or still building fundamentals, a standard carbon fiber shaft gives you 80 to 90% of the performance at the fraction of the price. Later, once you need every advantage, you can look at premium versions. But what do you think? Do you think beginner and advanced beginners can benefit from a low deflection shaft? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you liked the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Every miss makes us better, so let's grow together. My name is JC. Try not to miss again.